what if it really was perfect? Like, what if that was a actual true thing, that it was perfect? And what if you really didn't have to fix yourself? What if you really didn't have to change? And what if this long list of things that were actually wrong with you was just an idea, an imagination? And the longer that we continue to look at this, the longer that we actually try to fix the things that we think are wrong with us, the longer that we actually solidify the thing that's actually wrong with us. Because in any moment I see that we can actually see that, like, oh, that's actually not a problem. It's actually not a problem that I wake up at 9 a.m. But my whole life I've been working under the notion and beating myself up that I need to wake up at 6 a.m. because this is what successful people do, or entrepreneurs do, or this is what business people do, or this is what da 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 da. Like, do you see how me seeing that, like, oh, I actually don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. It's okay if I wake up at 9 a.m. How that could actually release a lot of the suffering that I have around myself. Now I can stop trying to make a routine like, okay, I gotta wake up at 9 a.m. I gotta wake up at 6 a.m. and then I don't wake up at 6 a.m. and so I beat myself up. But it's like, I never had to wake up at 6 a.m. anyways. So now I can just let all of that go. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how oftentimes we have these really, really innocent beliefs, innocent ideas, innocent expectations, innocent responsibilities, but it kind of causes us a lot of suffering, even though we're doing it in a very innocent way. And so you know what time it is. It's time to shine. Yo, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Dave Sean, yours truly, and this channel is all about inspiration. It's about upliftment. I like to talk about things that inspire me in hopes that it will inspire something within you. I hope that it will reignite your light so that you can go out and be a stable beacon of light, not only for yourself, but for others. And we just gonna shine. You know what time it is. So recently I did a workshop, a Choose to Shine workshop, and that was my first time doing a workshop, and it was such a great experience, and it's just something that I had been planning and putting off and planning and putting off, and then I finally, just got all of my ducks in a row and I did it, and it felt so amazing, and it seemed like that, it was just on path. It was just on path. So I've been making videos and things like that for a while now, and I've been having the desire to really be interactive with people and be able to see people's faces and be able to see people's responses and things like that. And so this workshop was basically just one of the stepping stones, and that, as my career progresses and as I continue to do the things that I do. But in this experience, it helped me. This whole experience helped me further see. I learned so much from the workshop. It helped me further see how we can embrace our humanity and how we can celebrate our humanity, and how often we beat ourselves up for being human and for our conditioning. But it's like, that doesn't fix it. That doesn't help. That actually just causes more suffering and more judgment and more ill feelings. So this workshop was I would say it was one of those expansive moments, you know what I mean? It's it was really a growth moment. It was really out of the comfort zone type of moment. It was really me showing up for myself and for others, and it was a beautiful experience. But in doing this, you become vulnerable. You put yourself out there. You really allow yourself to show up for yourself and show up for life and really shine and be in front of other people. And yet again, it was an amazing experience. But what I saw after is that I had expanded so much and I had grew so much, but I still had a lot of limiting ideas and a lot of images and ideas about myself that were not conducive to this new growth that I had experienced. And so what happened was I expanded to this certain degree, and then after that I started to contract again, because that's just what happens. But I noticed my contraction, and I noticed that it makes sense that you would kind of contract maybe, but I noticed my contraction, and I started to beat myself up for my contraction. And I started to be like, Dave, what's wrong with you? You just did a beautiful workshop and now you feel like this. Why do you feel like this? You're not supposed to feel like this. And the whole time I wasn't seeing that this was my whole journey. This was a whole experience in itself. Me doing the workshop and the way that I felt after the workshop, this was still in the same experience of the workshop. This was still the same experience of me learning and me growing. And I couldn't see it at that. I thought the workshop was only me learning and growing, but it's like the way that I felt and the things that I saw after the workshop were also a learning and growing experience. And so I was beating myself up for being human. I was beating myself up for contracting, and I was beating myself up for judging myself. I was beating myself up for the conditioning that I had that I was actually trying to get away from. And let me further explain that. So growing up, a thing that my family has is like they're really hard on themselves. Like they really like beat themselves up a lot, really self-critical, a lot of self-deprecation. And it's very funny because when my family comes together, the individuals oftentimes they beat themselves up by themselves, but when they come together as like a family reunion or a family get together, the family just they beat each other up because they are so hard on each other. And so this is something that I've noticed. I've noticed that I have, like, you know, we all have this self-judgment, and we're always critiquing ourselves and always finding our own flaws. And so that was a tendency, that was a habit that I had. And what I noticed is that even though I know I have this condition, I mean, it's just conditioning, and I don't have to have it actually. It's just experiences that I have. But when I notice this conditioning coming up, I would say, don't judge yourself like that. You shouldn't beat yourself up. You know you're past this. But that's the same exact mechanism and operating system, then just in a different form. So I noticed that I had a lot of self-judgment and a lot of self-criticism, and then I criticized myself for having self-judgment and self-criticism. And so that's a very funny thing. And so the thing that I'm actually noticing is that we don't transcend our conditioning by beating ourselves up for our conditioning. We transcend our conditioning by having compassion and noticing this conditioning and really holding it up to the light. I wrote that as a note. I was like, you got to hold it up to the light. And people say hold space for it. It's like hold it in your heart. But it's like when this conditioning comes up, you don't have to beat yourself up for it. You don't have to beat yourself up for being judgmental because you're operating in the same way. You do something totally different. You have compassion for it. Compassion. And so yet again, with this experience of the workshop, like the way that I felt after the workshop, I could have had compassion for myself. Like, Dave, you're growing, you're stretching. This is also a part of your learning curve. This is also a part of your expansion. This is your expansion to see you do the workshop and then see how you feel after the workshop, because this will probably happen again. And if you don't learn this lesson right now, you'll probably go through the same pattern of judging yourself and critiquing yourself and beating yourself up for your expansion and for your growth. And this whole encompassing story, this whole thing is about seeing that the idea that I'm broken, and then me trying to fix myself is what solidifies the idea that I'm broken, because I never was broken. The idea that I did something wrong after the workshop made me continue to solidify that and really need to change myself. The idea that I am a procrastinator and then I try to fix my procrastination just solidifies that I'm a procrastinator, which is just an idea, which is just a belief, which is just a transient thought, which is just a transient experience. This is a little segue, but I actually want to talk about procrastination real quick, because I was on the phone with someone, a client or something like that the other day, and I was kind of sharing with them about procrastination and things like that. And what I said was, like, it's so funny that we deal with this thing called procrastination, and it's only a figment of our imagination. It's just an idea, because we can only be where we're at right now. We can only be doing what we're doing right now. Either you do it or you don't do it. And there is no procrastination. Procrastination cannot be even in this realm, because you either do it or you don't do it. And that's the whole point. And see, you either accept that you did it or you accept that you don't do it. And that's how I kind of see procrastination. But yet again, the whole idea of procrastination is just another figment of our imagination, because the reality is either you do something or you don't do it. And that's the same thing with everything else in our experience. I either am this or I'm not this. If I am this, then that's cool. If I'm not, then that's cool too. But I don't have to beat myself for whatever. I don't have to beat myself up for whatever I am, because I just am what I am right now. Let's go. yeah, I think that's all I wanted to share with you guys today. If this video resonated with you at all, you know what to do. Leave a comment below, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already subscribed. And, you know, we're going to be putting out some more videos. We're going to keep shining because, you know, shine on your mind, shine all the time. It's time to shine. I'll speak to you very soon. Much love. Peace.